Hi everyone, it's Linnea here for LDRS Creative. Today I'm going to be mixing and matching a stamp set from the latest LDRS Creative release along with some paper and another stamp set from last year's Christmas release. I love mixing and matching products. I don't think products ever really get old. Some products are definitely older than others, but that doesn't mean you can't still use them and mix them and match them with what's more current. So I went ahead and I stamped out the snow globe from last year's Snow Dear to Me stamp set and a couple of the hippopotamus images from the Hippopotamus for Christmas stamp set. That's from this release. For that snow globe, the best way that I have found so that this will die cut properly, because this has a hollow center, I like to just take that stamp and just kind of drop it into my stamping platform. And I find that that helps keep the integrity of the shape the best. You can definitely sit there and fiddle with it, but I find that just dropping it makes it so that this is the most natural shape, and it just kind of falls the way that it should stamp. I'm going to go ahead and color in the snow globe image along with the hippopotamus images using colors that are inspired from the Mackenzie Christmas paper pack. This is the Christmas pack from last year's Christmas release from LDRS Creative, and it is probably my most favorite Christmas pack from any company at all. I love the colors, I love the patterns, it's my favorite, and I haven't reached for it yet this year. So I really was inspired by the colors, and I thought that I wanted to mix and match these cute little hippopotamus images with the Mackenzie Christmas paper pack. I'm coloring my images today with some alcohol markers, and like I said, I'm just keeping to the colors in that Mackenzie Christmas paper pack. So I'm using some pinks and some blue-greens for the most part, keeping with that softer color palette, kind of a borderline non-traditional color palette. The pink kind of replaces the red and the mint replaces the green. Still a little bit non-traditional, but traditional at the same time. It's the perfect mix for me. As I color, I like to color dark to light. So I start with my darkest color and I blend out with my, what I call my dark medium, and then my light medium, and then my lightest. And what I mean by that is I start with my darkest marker and just add some shadows, or some lines rather, where I think there should be shadows. Then I usually have two medium color markers, a darker and a lighter. So I'll come in with the darkest of my mediums and blend out those shadow lines just a little bit, and then I'll come in with my lighter of my mediums, blend those out a little bit more, and then usually color all over the image with my lightest image. Now this hippopotamus had a lot of space to color, so I ended up bringing a fifth marker in, a super light marker, just to kind of blend all of that together. And then I did add some rosiness to their cheeks. I started to play around with how I was going to be positioning the hippopotamus inside of the snow globe, and I thought that I wanted to go back to that Snow Dear to Me stamp set. And in this stamp set, there's this little, kind of like a magical flurry, a magical flourish of snow maybe. And so I started stamping this with alloy ink because I wanted it to be subtle. But it was a bit too subtle for me, so I came in with soft kisses over the top, and actually layering the pink over top of the gray helped it match more with the color tone that I was going for. So here's the Mackenzie Christmas paper pack. You can see I have a lot of scraps in this paper pack. I use this paper pack quite a bit last year, and I actually went through a whole pattern paper pack, and then I ended up having to open up a second, and this very well could even be my third. But along the way, I kept all of my scrap pieces because those are not going to go to waste. I can definitely use them. And you can see here, I have a whole bunch of different patterns, and I just cut them into strips of different widths. Some of them are going to be super skinny, some of them are super thick, and then some of them are just kind of in between. I did no measuring whatsoever, so if any of these widths of pattern paper ended up being the same exact width, that was completely by accident. I didn't measure these at all, I just chopped them up. They were my scraps anyway, so they were all different widths to begin with. I took a piece of A2 sized cardstock and I covered it with some double-sided adhesive, and then I'm just going to peel back a portion of that adhesive, about half of it. You can peel off the whole thing, but I'm accident prone, and so I didn't want to get my finger stuck and accidentally tear something, so that's why I only worked at half of the sheet at a time. But all I'm doing is just laying out my pattern paper scraps, and I decided to go at a diagonal just because that meant that I didn't have to measure anything. I didn't have to really line anything up. I could just randomly pick one of my little strips, lay it down at a diagonal, and then just butt up the edges one against another as I'm going. I didn't have to make sure that anything was straight horizontally or vertically. I could just kind of match them up with each other as I went along. Once they were all adhered to my cardstock, I went ahead and trimmed off the excess from around the edges, and I used the medium die from the A2 Stitched Layered Card Toppers die set and cut that out. So now those pattern paper strips look like it is one piece of pattern paper with some stitch detailing around the edge. And I should mention that I did not throw away that outer piece. I'll keep that for a future shaker card. I'm going to assemble my card now. I have used the largest stitch die from the A2 Stitched Layered Card Toppers die set and just cut a white panel for my background. I thought that that would tie in with the stitching that I added around my pattern paper. I'm going to add that onto my card base, trim away any excess that I have. I pre-cut my own card bases, so a lot of times I have a little bit of extra hanging off. I just trim that up really quick. Then I'm going to add my pattern paper that I created using the strips of pattern paper. I popped that up onto some fun foam for some dimension, and then I'll go ahead and add my cute little snow globe with my hippopotamus images in there, and I also added some gems here and there around my card. That finishes everything. Thanks so much for watching. I have listed and linked the LDRS Creative products that I used in this video below in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!